Yeah, you know, I think each individual defines what success is, you know, how determined they are to reach that success. I think it's more important, you know, and when you're really looking at it, you have to look at sacrifice, and I mean sacrifice in the best way. So, really, how much are you willing to sacrifice to get to that next level, to be successful? A great friend of mine was telling me about him going to college, and you know how students spend money on clothing and all these other things to fit in. He said he didn't do any of that, but to look at him now, real estate owner, cars, clothing, has it all, so he made that sacrifice. So I think that sacrifice part is a great thing, because when you look at those successful people, one thing that they have in common, that they made a sacrifice. That they know exactly what they had to do, and they were willing to sacrifice those things, which also speaks to the brain as well, which understanding the difference between the brain, the mind, and the subconscious. Because once you start feeding that brain better information, it starts to see that you can make that sacrifice. But if not, then you're more living subconsciously, through emotion, so you're feeling that you don't need to sacrifice anything. So it's kind of that you want to change, but you want to take the old self there to make the change. You want to keep the old ways while you're making a new change. And a lot of times it just doesn't agree. So I think that sacrifice part has a, and actually at the root of that is again the book Introduction to Your Potential. Because once you start seeing potential with that proper brain and mind state, everything changes just immediately. Because you start seeing that I can obtain these things. You start seeing that the goal is there, so you start moving away more from that emotional thing, and you start treating that brain. For what it is, that computer, that information. You start getting rid of those negative thoughts, those negative vibes, those negative feelings that you can't find, or you can't get to this success, that is too hard, or that you have to give up too much to get there. You start feeding your brain with those positive thoughts, those positive wavelengths, to where the brain starts to get it. You program it to be successful. And I think that's what's missing. I don't think a lot of people program that brain to be successful. So you rarely get to use the mind, because you're not even using the brain. And like in quantum physics and some other things, even scientifically, you have to understand that brain is like a computer. So if all day is just running a virus, is running a program of just negativity, you're not feeding it anything positive, then that's what you're going to get out of it. You're going to get a lot of negativity out of it. You're going to get that you're following an emotion, that's going to keep you from moving forward a lot of times. That'll keep you running in place. And we also know those things about leading by example and doing those great things. So that means it has to be a sacrifice. It has to be where you see that potential in yourself, that divine purpose, that divine passion, those things that you have. Those are very important, because that potential will carry you on, like I said before. But knowing that brain is different, that brain can trick you into thinking that you're doing the right thing, and you're not. So you have to step beyond that. You have to step outside of that and start figuring out what you want, and start thinking about what's holding you back from doing that. You see a clear-cut path. You know that you need to do these things. You know that you need to expand your brain more. You know that you need to start using the vocabulary that's going to get you to the next level. You know these things. You know you need to be around people who are going to get you to this next level. What's stopping you from doing that? It's got to be part of that program. It's got to be part of that program that's been running, that has been running, that hasn't been successful for you. So once you start looking into what is successful, what do I need to be? It's the tools. Getting yourself or allowing yourself to have the proper tools. Start writing it down. Like it says in Introduction to Your Potential. Start writing it down. Start writing down what you're doing during the day so you can start to notice it. Because sometimes you can get so involved emotionally with stress and other things that you don't know that you're doing the same things over and over. And as they say, if you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, then you know what that is. So you have to write it down to start seeing what's happening. And the more you write it down, you start seeing that inner self, that inner being talking. The one that's in the mirror that you rarely get to look at. You'll start to see that it's more to life. And then you start using that, and then the mind starts opening up.